Good evening and welcome to Redmond High School as we get started here with Game 2 of the Cardinal Classic for the Dudes national team. Ball one on the first hitter here for FCA Premier, the 18U FCA team. There's strike one as it's swung at by Miller, who is up at bat. We'll see 1, 2, and 3, Miller, Veers, and Larson. For FCA Premier on the mound for the Dudes is Chase Lawson. Ball two brings the count to 2-1. The Dudes coming off of a loss yesterday against Elevate Northwest, 7-5, as this one's fouled off back into the net. Strike two, and yesterday there was a 2-hour time limit, which ended the game before 7 innings, and this one we're going to play that fully through as this one's tipped into Malachi's glove, and Miller strikes out. One down now, 2 in the order for FCA up is Veers. Up in the batter's box, the left-handed hitter, no runners on. Fresh count for him as he fouls this one up into the air, strike one. Larson is on deck. Lyle Veers, the outfielder for FCA. Cedar Park Christian High School, 2026 graduate. There's ball one, brings the count to 1-1 here. That pitch swung at. Lawson sends it in, and it's strike two. 1-2 is the count now here for Redmond High School. One ball, two strikes, one out as this one swung at and fouled off over to the left side. Let me run you through our fielders today for Dudes National. Byers, Facilla, and Zhang in the outfield, left center, and right field. And then Diaz is over on first base today as opposed to Hernandez. Second base, Lopez will be covering that one. 1-2 pitch is swung at and fouled up into the air, takes a bounce. Third base, Cohen. And at shortstop today for the Dudes is Kevin Bomer. Behind the dish, Malachi. On the mound, of course, Lawson. 1-2 again now for Veers. And it'll get fouled off again, so we'll do 1-2 for another time. One down, 1-2 pitch. This one swung at, and it's going to be sent foul before it bounces into the infield. So now Lawson getting that pitch count up early here on Veers. Larson still on deck, still one down, no runners on. That pitch sails low, ball two. And so the count moves now. It's 2-2 here from Lawson. Time called there. A little bit of a change up in the starting lineup for the Dudes. We'll get to that in the bottom of the first here. But right now the Dudes 2 outs away from there. 2-2 as that pitch sails inside, and the count's now full for second in the order, Veers. There's ball four, and to first walks Veers after a long plate appearance for him. And now there's one on as he inches way over there with Mason Diaz. Mason Diaz was slated to go as the first baseman yesterday, but it was Juan Hernandez the whole game. Here's Larson with a fresh count. One runner on base, one down. And there's ball one. Jake Doman is on deck, fourth in the order. The first of two Domans in the starting lineup today for FCA Premier. Trying to steal second is going to be Veers, and he's going to get there safely as Lopez is unable to make the tag. So now a runner in scoring position, one down. Here's Larson again, back up in the batter's box. Gets reset, and Lawson sends it low for a ball. No strikes and one ball away from walking Larson to first now with a runner on second, and that one's going to sail high. For ball four, Larson goes over to first. Veers still on second. And so it'll remain one down. Now two on here for FCA. 18U, one in scoring position. Here's Jake Doman now. Again, the first of two Domans as Luke is over on deck. Strike one enters the zone here for Jake. No balls, one strike, one out. Veers over on second, Larson on first. The pitch from Lawson sails outside, and there's the first ball. Evens the count out at 1-1 here for Doman. One and one. There's strike two. One-two swung at, and out goes Doman. Here comes the other Doman now. Two strikeouts so far for Lawson on the mound. Two runners still on base. Two down, Luke Doman now up in the batter's box. Left-handed hitter. Strike one for Doman. Meyer is on deck for FCA 18U. Doman here fifth in the order. They have 10 in their starting lineup today. A runner on second, runner on first. Both the Domans at Glacier Peak High School 2026 graduates, as this one is swung at, grounded over towards the left side. Grab is made there by Cohen, sent over to first. Diaz is going to force the final out of the inning now. That'll do it for the top of the first. No runs scored as the Dudes look to put some on the board in the bottom of the first. Here from Redmond High School, I'm Sebastian Olsing. We'll be right back. back here from Redmond High School now, and bottom of the first, Chao Zhang is up in the batter's box, starting off here for the Dudes, first in the order, and lets this pitch sail low, takes a bounce, ball one. Zhang in right field today for Dudes National. Saw his first action in yesterday's game. He was sixth in the order, played left field, so a little bit of a switch up today for him as he stands in the left-handed batter's box right now. Swings at this one and chopped it over to the right side. Takes a bounce, but it was foul. Strike one. Count out 1-1 now for Zhang. Again, a change up in this order here. Again, Dudes National has been kind of playing around with the lineup. We'll see 1, 2, and 3, Zhang, Facilla, and Burt at least, as Zhang sends this one into center field. Grounder before it's finally picked up. Down on the ground, over to first goes Zhang. You see him occupying first now there. A nice hit to start off the game here for the Dudes. One on now, Joey Facilla is up in the batter's box. They'll try to pick off Zhang, not going to get him though. He remains over there. Facilla in center field today for the Dudes, second in the order. Lance Bird is on deck. Joey Facilla was first in the order yesterday for the Dudes. There's strike one. Brings the count to 0-1. Facilla in yesterday's game, a ground out, a fly out, and then another fly out in the fourth inning, 1, 2, and 4, before the game ended in the fifth. Again, that 2-hour time limit, however, that could cause the game to end in the fifth is not in effect here today. It is possible that there is a run rule in effect today, however, so that could end the game early, depending on what happens. There's strike two here for Facilla. Brings the count to 0-2 for the center fielder. Facilla was in center field yesterday, so that remains consistent here for the Dudes. Besides the switch from Zhang's left field to right field position, not much else really changed here for the Dudes, as this one sails past and Zhang's going to try to get to second, try to evade some tags, and he's safe. Did a little stutter step there, got out of the way of the tag, and he is safe over on second, is at least what they called it, and he'll remain over there. As you see him just out of way over at the right side of your screen there. And so they called Zhang safe, but there is discussion now from Dudes general manager Colin McBride out on the field with the umpire. I'm not sure what the discussion's about, and Zhang is coming back over to the dugout, so I'm not sure what happened there, but the Dudes general manager came out of the dugout and seemingly got Zhang retrieved off of second, as this one swung at by Facilla, grounded towards center field. The grab is made, sent over to first for the play to be made, and the force out over there. Now 2 down here for the Dudes through 2 hitters. Now it's Lance Burt for the Dudes up in the batter's box. The EH today for Dudes National. This one sails low, takes a bounce. Ball one here on Burt. Lance Burt was named a part of the Art Wright Memorial All-Tournament team, first team, just today from the tournament last week for the Dudes. So great achievement there for him after that 4-game tournament. There's ball 2 here on Burt. The Dudes went 2-2 in that tournament, winning against the Washington Awards to open the tournament, and then a win against Velo Tech to close it 2-1, as Burt will send this one into right center field for a nice base hit. Burt, a dangerous player. That's why he's here at the heart of the order in the third position, and was also named a part of the Wright Memorial first team all-tournament. So Lance over on first now. Malachi up at the batter's box now here, fourth in the order. He was there yesterday as well. Has played catcher pretty consistently here for Dudes National. Swings at that one for a strike. Moet got on base all three of his at-bats yesterday. Two of them due to walks and then another one due to a hit by pitch. He ended up scoring a run in the third inning. One of the 5 that the Dudes had yesterday off of the RBI from Mason Diaz. That one sails past the zone for a ball. That one goes low again. Another ball here for Malachi, and the count's at 3-1. Now with an advantage here on the pitcher Drew Marino on the mound for FCA Premier. 3-1, Lance over on first, 2 outs. This one swung at by Malachi and lofts it over past the second baseman into center field, and another base hit moves things along. Burt over on second now. Malachi will occupy first. And so Malachi will be courtesy ran by Daniel Weber for the Dudes. Yesterday it was Cohen who was courtesy running for Malachi. Cohen is in the lineup today for the Dudes, however. Here's the first pitch on Kevin Bomer, strike 1. Bomer pretty consistently has been last in the order for the Dudes. Today, not the case. He's here 5th in the order. Playing shortstop, however, has been consistent for him, and he will do so today as he'll swing at this one and ground it towards the left side. The play is made there by the shortstop, sending it over to second for the force out, and the final out of the inning. That will do it for the first inning. No runs scored by either team. The Dudes get 2 on, and they'll be stranded there. That'll do it for the first here from Redmond High School. 0-0 going into the second. We'll be right back. Top of the second, 0-0 ball game. Strike 1 here on 6th in the order, Meyer for FCA Premier. We'll see 6, 7, and 8, Meyer, Ledoux, and Stutz. Check swing, and they're going to say he didn't. Ball one brings the count to 1-1. Right-handed hitter. That pitch in the zone, strike number 2 here for Meyer. Lawson still on the mound here for the Dudes. Has surrendered no runs so far, albeit only the second inning, as this one is swung at, sent towards the right side. Trying to make the play is Diaz. It gets past him and gets scuffled up there as Meyer gets over to first. So a base runner, no outs here for FCA. Ledoux now up in the batter's box. Right-handed hitter. And he'll swing at this one, chop it towards the left side. Cohen makes the grab, sends it over to second, and tries to get over to first. And we're going to see what happened here. The ball was dropped at second base, but they say he's out there. And they say the hitter is safe over on first. So a little confusing, but there is an out on that play, as Meyer did get tagged out over at second. Now Ledoux over on first. Here's Stutz up in the batter's box. 8th in the order for FCA 18U. A runner on base, 1 out. That one swung at for a strike. One down, Eckelberger is on deck. That one sails inside for a ball. Two-one pitch swung at, evens the count out in 2-2 now. Strike away from getting another one down here is Lawson. Ledoux occupies first base. Here's Lawson winding this one up. Drills this one in, and it's going to be popped over towards the back of the infield. Actually, a little further than we think. Fly out to right field. The grab is made there by Zhang for the second out on the fly out. Two down. There's strike one for Eckelberger, 9th in the order for FCA 18U. They have 10 in their lineup here today. Bove is on deck. Eckelberger seeing his first action. There's strike two. Swung at the first one. Lets that one sail by. Strike swing and a strike looking now. 0-2 Lawson sends that one low, takes the bounce. Malachi's able to recover it. Looks towards first, and no one moves. Ball one, count at 1-2. Ledoux remains over on first. 1-2 pitch swung at. It'll remain that way for Eckelberger upcoming. Two down, still no runs scored by either team so far here in the top of the second. We're 9th in the order for FCA 18U, and that one is swung at, fouled off, up into the net over to the left side. It'll remain 1-2, again here for Eckelberger. Lawson again, 1 on, 2 outs. This one swung at, chopped right into the glove of Diaz, who struts over and steps on first base for the force out there. The final one of the top of the second. No scores surrendered here as we enter the bottom of the second. Diaz will start us off here after making that grab. Now entering the bottom of the second here from Redmond High School within the city limits of Redmond, Washington. Starting off here in the bottom of the second is Mason Diaz. Their strike one. We'll see 6, 7, and 8. Diaz, Lopez, and Byers for Dudes National here today. Diaz at first base again. Usually that would be Juan Hernandez. Hernandez is not here today with the Dudes. There's the second pitch as it sails low, ball one. Evens the count out at 1-1 here for Mason. Mason yesterday a fly out, a strikeout, and then an RBI single as well in the third inning. Makes up his 3 plate appearances. There's ball 2. Count at 2-1. No runners on for Diaz. Diane Lopez is on deck. 2-1. Becomes 2-2 now. Drew Marino remains on the mound for FCA, and that one's going to be swung at powered into the net in foul territory and takes a bounce over the fence. 2 balls, 2 strikes again. No outs. No runners on here for Mason. Here 6th in the order, and that pitch is going to sail outside, take a bounce out of the glove of Wenzel. Count is full now for Mason Diaz. Diaz was at the top of the order a few games ago as part of the Artwright Memorial Day tournament. Hit a leadoff homer in the bottom of the first for the Dudes against the Spokane Expos. They did ultimately lose that game, however, their second game of the Artwright Memorial Tournament. 5-3 in 6 innings, and that's going to get Mason out looking as he watches it sail by into the zone. First one down now. In the bottom of the second, it's Diane Lopez entering the batter's box now. Lopez, the second baseman here today for the Dudes. Lopez started at 8th in the order yesterday and was substituted by Lincoln Cohen in the 5th inning. Lopez trying to keep himself in the whole game this time. Again, this one won't end on a time limit rule. Lopez lets that one go by for a ball. On deck, Magnuson, Byers, 8th in the order. 1 down, no runners on here for Lopez. Swinging at that pitch for a strike. Lopez yesterday a fly out and a strikeout looking in the 2nd and 4th inning before he was substituted by Lincoln in the 5th, and that's going to get him out looking again. 2 strikeouts looking in a row here for the Dudes. Diaz and Lopez both do so. Lopez's second one of the Cardinal Classic. Now it's Mags Byers up in the batter's box. I'm sorry, it's still Lopez. He remained out there. He just stepped out quite a ways. Count is full here for Lopez. I lost track of the count, so he's still in. Swings at that one and strikes out this time, so it is a strikeout, not a strikeout looking, however. His second strikeout of the Cardinal Classic, again here for Diane Lopez. Now 2 down. Apologies for that mistake there. No runners on. Here's Mags Byers now in the batter's box, the left-handed hitter. Lets that one sail low, takes a bounce through the legs of Wenzel. Ball 1 on Byers, who's in left field today for the Dudes. 8th in the order. Cohen is on deck. We'll see if we get there. There's 2 down. 1-0 is the count. Byers was not part of the lineup in yesterday's game. There's ball 2 here. 2 balls and no strikes, and 2 outs here for Byers. No runners on. There's ball 3. There's strike 1, brings the count to 3-1 for Magnuson. 3-1. Checking his swing, and they're going to say he did. And Byers does not agree at all. It's a full count here for Mags Byers. Now Cohen was stepping up to the dish. So Cohen goes back on deck. 3-2 here for Mags. No runners on, 2 down for the left fielder. 3-2, swing and a miss, and there's the final strike and the final out. 3 strikeouts in a row here for Drew Marino on the mound for FCA Premier. 1, 2, 3 inning for him. And let's take a quick look here at the Dudes' upcoming schedule. Upcoming games, of course, we have the one today, FCA 18U here from Redmond High School. Tomorrow at 8 p.m., they'll play the Shoreline Royals at Hartman, just across the street at 8 p.m., however. And then we have a few more upcoming starting in June. We'll take a look at those. The Washington Rush on June 3rd at 6 p.m., June 4th at 7 p.m., the Everett Merchants. Both of those will be in Everett, Washington. And then the Medford Rogues is where the seniors plus the PIL team will head June 6th, 7th, and 8th in Medford, Oregon. So get ready for those ones. We'll take a quick step aside here as the Dudes prepare to step up onto the defense to start off the 3rd inning. We'll be right back. Top of the 3rd now. Strike 1 to start us off here. It's Bovee in the batter's box for FCA 18U, 10th in the order for them. Ball 1 brings the count to 1-1 here for Bovee. Before we get back to the top of the order with Miller, he'll swing at that one, fouled off to the right side. Strike 2, and the count's at 1-2. One ball, 2 strikes, and that one's going to sail past the outside. Ball 2, count at 2-2 now here for Bovee. That one swung and grounded towards the right side. Diaz makes the grab, runs over to first, and forces the first out here of the 3rd inning. One down, 2 more to go here for the Dudes. Back at the top of the order, it's Miller stepping up to the plate. One and two Millers and Veers for FCA 18U. We saw 10 Bovee. 10, 1 and 2 at least for them. There's a ball. That pitch swung at, gets sent towards first base, but it Sails foul just before it can get there into the glove of Diaz. So there's the first strike on the board here for Miller. 2-1 is the count. He struck out on his last at-bat swinging on a 2-2. Seeing his second plate appearance today. He'll swing at this one, fly out to left field, and the grab is made there by Byers for the second out here. So now a strikeout and a flyout here for Miller as we go on to Veers up in the batter's box, also a left-handed hitter. Walked on ball 4 on his last at-bat on a full count, put him on first. He advanced over to second, and that's where he remained at the end of that half inning. He'll swing at this pitch, and it'll sail foul towards the left side. Strike 1 brings the count to no balls, 1 strike. 2 down. Lawson sends this one outside the zone, ball 1, and the count's at 1-1. Larson is on deck here for FCA. Swinging at this one, grounding it past Cohen and into left field before it's finally picked up by Byers, and Veers will make his way over to first. A nice base hit for him. One on now here for FCA Premier. Larson will enter the batter's box. Larson stranded on first on his last plate appearance as this one sails by for ball 1. And advancing to second is Veers. He'll easily steal that one as it gets past the glove of Malachi. Lawson takes the blame for that one. 1-0 is the count here on Larson. Lawson sails this one above the zone. 2-0 is the count now here for Larson. He was walked on 4 consecutive balls on his last at-bat. Time called here by him. No, sorry, it was Noet who called the timeout, and he's going to have a quick chat here on the bump with Lawson. Get themselves organized there as he returns quickly after that one. 2 balls, no strikes here. Jake Doman is on deck. We'll see if we get to that series of Domans. 2-0 pitch is swung at and fouled off into the cage. There's the first strike now down. 2-1. Two outs, a runner on second. For Larson, still in a 0-0 ball game in the top of the third. Larson gets that one zipped into the zone from Lawson. It's Lawson on the pitching mound for the Dudes and Larson in the batter's box for FCA 18U. Now the count at 2-2 from Lawson, a runner on second. 2 down, 2-2. This one swung at and fouled off into the cage. It'll remain 2-2. And the count's full now here for Larson, as he'll try to keep things going here for FCA 18U with 2 down. Base runner on second, you see him there in the frame. 3-2 pitch is swung at and sent up in the air and fouled. It'll sail over the net into the brush somewhere. So it remains full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 2 down. A runner on second. That one swung at, grounded towards the left side, and gets past third base after going foul. So we'll do 3-2 again here. Full count, we'll do it again. A runner on second. Lawson winds up as this one swung out again and fouled off again. Takes a bounce out of the net. Three-two again, swinging at that one, and that will do it as Lawson retires the side here for the Dudes in the top of the third. We'll be back for the bottom as leading off it'll be Lincoln Cohen. We'll see 9-1 and 2.
They call you.
Three and a half scoreless innings in now as Lincoln Cohen prepares to step into the batter's box for the Dudes, ninth in the order, before we get back to the top with Chao Zhang, who's on deck now for Dudes National. Halfway through the game and it's 0-0, and again we will play all set. No balls, one strike here for Cohen, starting off the bottom of the third. 0-0 ball game, a tight one here. So far from Redmond High, 0-1 pitch, sails low. Ball one brings the count to 1-1 for Cohen playing third base today. He played third base yesterday as well, and substituted in for Diane Lopez in the fifth inning. Drew Marino still on the mound here for FCA. A 1-2-3 inning, 3 strikeouts in a row on the Dudes. That pitch sails inside for a ball. For the Dudes. 6, 7, and 8 in the order. As Cohen finds himself back in the starting lineup, he'll try to do something here. There's strike 2. And the count's now full. Chao Zhang on deck. No runners on. None down for Lincoln. towards the shortstop, sent over to first, and the play is made there for the force out. (1-0) as that one sails low. Hits the dirt. Joey Facilla. Run. A ground out, a fly out, as well as a base on balls in his 3 plate appearances against Elevate Northwest. No runners on, none down, and there's strike 1 on Zhang. Count at 3-1 now. (3-1) is fouled off, and the count's full now here for Zhou Zhang. Zhang swings it. Two force outs over at first base now. 2 down here for the Dudes. Joey Facilla is up in the batter's box now as he takes a step up into the right-handed side. Facilla, center fielder today, center fielder yesterday as well, seeing his first lineup action here in the Cardinal Classic for the Dudes. Jogs his way over there. Facilla ground out on his last at-bat before just now as he swings on. Burt. He had a base hit on his last at-bat, and he'll swing at this one and send it flying into left field. The grab is made for the final out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Facilla left over on first here for the Dudes as we enter the 4th inning. We left off here with Jake Doman, yet to have an at-bat. This first pitch goes into the zone. Strike one for him. Doman, a strikeout swinging on his last at-bat in the first inning. Now it's the top of the fourth. Here from Redmond High School, still knotted up at no runs for either of these teams. There's ball one. That pitch swung and grounded towards the left side. The grab is made by Bomer. Sent over to first. Diaz is going to outstretch and make the grab there for the force out at first. Down already here for the Dudes in the top of the fourth. Now it's Luke Doman up in the batter's box. Here for FCA Premier. Luke, a ground out on his last at bat as well. Swing at this one, and it's in play over towards the right side. And the grab is made again by Diaz over at first. Seeing a lot of action today is Mason. He'll force the out at first base on the first pitch. And now there's two down. So here's Meyer now up in the batter's box for FCA. That pitch sails close to him inside. Ball one. Meyer a base hit on his last at bat. Was forced out at second on the fielder's choice from Ledoux. For Meyer. Lawson trying to retire Meyer as he's going to swing at this one. It's going to fly out into right field before the grab can be made by Zhang for the final out. 1-2-3 inning here for the Dudes. Here to end the top of the fourth. We'll go back to the broadcast in the bottom as the Dudes will have another. Getting started here with the bottom of the fourth here from Redmond High School. Still knotted up at goose eggs on the board for either of these teams. No scores surrendered by anyone so far. Drew Marino remains on the mound here for FCA Premier. This first pitch on Malachi will sail above the zone. Ball one for him. A base hit on his last at bat on a 3-1. He was Weber on first base as his courtesy runner. There's ball two, brings the count to 2-0 here for Malachi. We'll see 4, 5, and 6. Noet, Bomer, and Diaz here for Dudes National. 2-0 pitch here. Strike one, brings the count to 2-1 here for Malachi. No runners on for our First hitter of the bottom of the fourth for the Dudes as that pitch sails outside. Wenzel has to reach out. Ball 3, and the count's at 3-1 again here for Noet. Got that hit on the same count on his last at-bat in the first inning. Now, in the bottom of the fourth, here we are. No runners, 3-1 count, no outs. That one's going to go past. They're going to check a swing, and he did not. So to first goes Malachi. Again, another on base for him on a base on balls this time instead of a hit. They've been getting people on base, but really only due to extraneous factors, and it's always in the wrong time when they already have 2 outs, and now they have a clean slate here, a runner on as well as no outs, as this one swung at here by the other number 15, Kevin Bomer. Both wear the number 15, 15A and B. Strike 1 for Bomer. 0-1 is the count here for the shortstop today. A ground out on his last. Ball 1, count out 1-1 here for Bomer. You see Malachi over there on first. 1 ball, 1 strike here for Bomer. Swinging at this one and chopping it off to the left side. It'll take a turn down the third base line and foul. Strike 2, count out 1-2 here for Bomer. Bomer was last in the order for the Dudes national team yesterday. Secured 2 hits and a fly out on his 3 plate appearances. From Redmond High School in the bottom of the fourth. Malachi remains over on first. Fly out into foul territory. The grab is made. One down. Now we're at 6. Of action, a strikeout looking on his last at-bat in the second inning. He started us off there. That was those 3 consecutive strikeouts from Diaz, Lopez, and Byers going through that one. A quick second for the Dudes. He'll take a step aside before resetting here. Back up at the plate. Noet over on first. That pitch in the zone. Strike 1 here on Diaz. Diaz yesterday against the first game of the Cardinal Classic, Elevate Northwest is who they played. And one goes outside. Ball 1 brings the count to 1-1. Noet retreats back over to first. No runners elsewhere. 1 down. 1-1 count here for Mason. One. Two balls, 1 strike. Lopez is on deck. Base runner on first. 2-1. Malachi is going to try to get over there, and is he going to get there in time? He will successfully slide into second and steal it. So now runner in scoring position. Lopez on deck, 1 down. Is the situation here for Dudes National. 3-1 is swung at, fouled off into the cage. So now we have another full count for Diaz. He had one on his strikeout on his last at-bat in the second. Diaz trying to keep things going here for the Dudes. Only 1 down, but it would definitely help their case if they can keep it going. As he'll swing at this one. It's full. One down. Know it over on second. You see him in the foreground. 3-2 swing and a miss. And actually it was a drop third strike, so the force out's going to have to be made at first, and it is. Malachi remains over on second. And Diaz is forced out. And so Malachi is now coming out of the game for his courtesy runner, Weber. So it's Weber over on second now. Mags Byers is going to swing at this one on the first pitch. Grounded over to the right side. Second base to first for the final out of the inning. The Dudes had something going there. Not going to get it here in the bottom of the fourth. That will knot it up at 0 for either of these teams. We'll be back. Now FCA Premier back up at bat. Again, the Dudes representing the home team from Redmond High. Ledoux is up in the batter's box for them. Ball one on this first pitch. He was put on base via fielder's choice on his last at bat, where you got Meyer. Berger at least here for FCA Premier. Their strike two brings the count to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Stutz is on deck. No outs. No runners on. And that's going to get Ledoux out looking. Near player. And it's Ledoux that's walking back to the dugout. So now it's Stutz up in the batter's box. Flew out into right field on his last at-bat. Zhang made the grab over there. Lawson is not on the. This pitch swung at, fly out to left center field. Running out to make the grab is Facilla for the second out. It is Lance Burt who is on the pitching mound now for the Dudes. As you see him there, he's also part of the starting lineup and was named a part of the Art Wright Memorial All-Tournament first team. There's a strike there on Eckelberger, now up in the batter's box after Stutz flies out to center field. 2 down as the Dudes try to quickly get done with this one, a 1-2-3 inning on their last showing, and they're not going to get that here as Eckelberger is hit by the pitch. And to first he goes. Runner on first now, that's Eckelberger. Beauvais up in the batter's box here for FCA Premier. Oh, 1 pitch, and they're going to try to pick off first. It's not going to be there in time. It's going to go over the head of Diaz. And getting safely to second will be Eckelberger. So not what you want to happen here as Burt tries to send it over to first. Now there's a runner over on second. Still 2 down here for the Dudes. And there's a discussion here with the home plate umpire with general manager Colin McBride. So still 2 outs. 0-1 is the count here for Beauvais. Beauvais a ground out on his last at-bat on a 2-2 pitch. And also last in the order, 10th in the order for FCA Premier. There's a ball. First ball here on Beauvais brings the count to 1-1. Runner on second now, that's Eckelberger. After being hit by, was able to steal second after the pickoff attempt goes loose. This pitch is swung at and it'll fly. Of the top of the 5th inning. Still nothing on the board for either of these teams. The Dudes having a shot to do that up next. Starting off will be Mags Byers. We'll be back. We're back now here from Redmond High School. Bottom of the fifth. Mags Byers up in the batter's box. I got it wrong in the last inning. Diane Lopez was the one who grounded out over to the right side. In that one, it's Mags Byers now. I said it was Byers then, but Byers is going to fly out here over in the right field. The grab is made there for the first out. Their first one down here for Dudes National. He struck out swinging on his last at-bat. And that was that 1-2-3, 3 strikeouts in a row from D.S. Lopez and Byers back in the second. He ended that one to go to the third inning. And so now we're at the bottom of the order. Lincoln Cohen is up in the batter's box here for grounded out on his last at-bat over towards the shortstop. Made play at first base. 1-0 is the count here for Cohen. He'll swing at this one, foul it off into the cage over to the right side. Got some zip on it. Strike one, and the count's at 1-1 for Lincoln. One is the count. There's some discussion going on over towards the dugout side. Not sure what's going on there, but something's happening. 1-1 is the count here for Cohen, ninth in the order. Before we get back to the top with Cho Zhang, we've seen Byers, we see Cohen, and then we'll see Zhang at least here for the Dudes. Very defensive game so far. Nothing on the board for either teams here in the fifth inning. Again, no time limit in this one, although I don't think that would be as Lincoln's going to foul this one off just past first base. Strike two, and the count's at 1-2 here for Lincoln. He's been putting some zip on these balls. 1-2 is the count now for the third baseman. His second plate appearance sees him strike out, and we're going back to the top of the order here for the Dudes. Chao Zhang walks up here towards the left-handed batter's box. Chao Zhang was sixth in the order yesterday for Dudes National. Saw his first action yesterday as well for Dudes National here as part of the car. Sailed by ball one. He's had 2 at-bats today. A base hit as well as a ground out. Makes up his 2 so far. This one's his third, and he's going to chop this one towards the right side in another ground out. Same exact location for the second to first base play, and that will do it for the fifth inning. Another quick one here from Redmond High School. Very tight defensive game as we go into the top of the sixth. We'll be right back. At the top of the order here for FCA 18U, Miller will step up to the plate. We'll see 1, 2, and 3. Miller, Veers, and Larson at least here for them today. Fresh count goes outside the zone. Both these teams about even as to where they are in their lineups at this point in the game. Top of the 6th here. After the flyout from Bove in the 5th. This one swung at and it's going to fly out into center field. Going back to make the grab. Facilla reaches up and gets it there. His second fly out of the day after flying out in the 3rd and then striking out in the 1st. Still yet to get on base is Miller, and so now we're second in the order here with Veers. Veers again second. So far a hit as well as a base on balls, and he's been stranded on second both times to end the half innings for the FCA 18U, and that pitch goes wild out to the left side. Escapes out of the glove of Noet. Ball 2, count at 2-0 here for Veers. Larson is on deck. No runners on, 1 down. Swing and a miss. Strike 1. 2-1, no runners. Has not struck out nor gotten out in any way today. He'll ground over to the left side, gets past Cohen, and he'll continue that streak alive. His second hit of the day puts him on base. Veers now over on first after the base hit gets past 3rd and into left field. Or Byers has to send it back in here. Now a runner on. You see him over there, right there on first. One on now, 1 out here for Larson up in the batter's box. 3rd in the order here for FCA. Premier swinging and missing at the first pitch, strike 1. Larson a strikeout as well as a walk on ball 4 through his 2 plate appearances today. The walk in the 1st inning and the strikeout in the 3rd. Now it's here in the 6th. This pitch swung at and fouled off, just barely clipped it there, and that's strike 2. The count at 0-2 with Jake. Walk on ball 4 back in that inning after a strikeout and a ground out from both the Domans. Neither of the Domans have gone on base today for FCA. One down, 2-2 is swung at and over towards the right side it goes. It'll remain that way. Lance Burt again relieving Chase Lawson, who did a fine job to start off the game here for the Dudes. There's a ball as it goes outside the zone. Larson lets that one sail by. Ball 3, and the count's full now. Veers there on first. Larson, full count. Burt trying to seal up that one, and they're going to try to pick off first, and it's going to get nowhere near Veers as Diaz has to jump up and get it. We had a scare in the last inning as Burt sent it over the head of Diaz, and the runner was able to steal second. This pitch is fouled up and away towards the netting. It'll remain full here for Larson, who also had a full count on his last at-bat. Was walked on ball four consecutive balls in the first inning. Rounded, gets past Diaz and gets past Lopez over there on the right side. And He is going to safely get over to first, and the base runner on first is able to safely get over to second. That's Veers over in second now. Larson over on first after the now 2 hits, and there's a little meeting here on the pitching mound for the Dudes with Burt as well as Noet, and Burt is now being taken out, and Weber is going to take his place. Jake Doman up at bat now here for FCA 18U. And so it will be Daniel Weber who is now in place of Burt on the pitching mound. He closed out the game yesterday. On the bump. Doman shows bunt, and this one's going to sail past for a ball. So we'll see Jake and then Luke potentially. Runner on second, runner on first here. After 2 hits from Veers and Larson. For Premier. Doman swings at this pitch, and this one's going to sail over the head of Diaz. Lands in right field, curves, foul. In comes a run. Rounding. And puts the first one on the board for either of these teams here in Game 2 of the Cardinal Classic. Larson on second now. Doman over on first after the nice hit. Bats in a run. If you're FCA Premier, that's about as much as you could ask for there, as that one sailed right into right field and took a bounce foul, getting away from anyone in that area. Zhang and Diaz both skirt. Glove of Bomer sent over to first for the force out, and the second one is down now. 2 runners still in scoring position, however, for FCA Premier. Two down now, 2 runners on. No one on first after the RBI double from Jake Doman. A huge one there for FCA Premier. This first pitch, a ball here from Weber on Meyer. Meyer a base hit as well as a fly out to right field on both of his two at-bats so far. This pitch will come inside and hit him in the abdomen, and to first he goes. Bases are now loaded here. Ledoux up at bat now. There's ball one. Ledoux has struck out as well as sent a fielder's choice through his two plate appearances. Swing and a miss there for strike one on Ledoux. 1-1 is now the count. Stutz is on deck for FCA Premier. Weber sends that one low, ball two. Scary situation now here for the Dudes. This has come to bite them before. Now on their third pitcher this game after Burt is replaced by him, and this one is lofted into left field, takes a bounce into the glove of Byers. A score is batted in. And home for the second score of the game for FCA Premier here in the sixth inning, and now we're getting where we don't want to be for Dudes National. This first pitch fouled off by Stutz. He's flown out to left and right field in his two plate appearances. So one for Stutz. Eckelberger is on deck. Low and inside, ball one, brings the count to 1-1 here for Stutz. Bases loaded, very scary situation here for the Dudes. Not where you want to be here. Over to second on the fielder's choice, but it doesn't matter. That'll do it. Finally for the top of the sixth. Now need to control some damage here as 2 runs are put on the board here going into the bottom of the sixth. And the Dudes now need to do something. We'll be back. Joey Facilla up at bat now, second in the order for Dudes National after the ground out from Chao Zhang in the fifth inning. This one is swung at and lofted into center field for a nice base hit here for Facilla as the Dudes try to get things going here. No runs on the board after surrendering 2 in the top of the 6th to FCA Premier, trying not to get another loss here on the board after losing yesterday to Elevate Northwest in a 7-5 game that ended in 5 innings due to a time limit. And that time limit is not going to be here. 1-1 here for Burt, the EH today. He saw the mound a little bit as this one is going to try to get over to first to pick off Facilla and gets past the first baseman, Ledoux, and Facilla is now on second in scoring position, and the Dudes have a much better lookout here after just a few pitches. Marino is still on the mound here for FCA Premier. As he has been all game, the Dudes have cycled through 3 pitchers so far, as Burt is one of them. Again, I'll mention it again. Burt named a part of the Art Wright Memorial All-Tournament team, first team, just today. The tournament taking place last week, as there's going to be a quick meeting here on the pitching mound between Wenzel and Marino. And that meeting is quickly adjourned. 1-1 is the count here for Burt. So far, a base hit left him on second in the first inning, as well as a fly out to left field on his most recent at-bat in the third. This pitch goes outside, ball 2. Count at 2-1. So we saw Facilla. We'll see Burt here, and then we'll see at least Malachi Noet up next after that. And hopefully we'll get to Kevin Bomer after that. Swung at strike 2, and that brings the count to 2-2. Burt lets that one sail low for another ball. Facilla on second. Malachi on deck. No outs so far as the Dudes try to get things going, swinging at that one and fouling it off into the cage. Things remain the same. That pitch swung at, and Burt is going to loft this one into left field, rounding. Third is Facilla, and the Dudes have put one on the board. Burt all the way over to second now. An RBI double for Burt, his second hit of the day. Through his 3 plate appearances, puts one in for the Dudes, and they're now within 1 run. Malachi Noet is prepared. The Dudes inch up on them. We'll be back. back here in the bottom of the 6th. Malachi Noet is up in the batter's box. No outs so far. Facilla has scored a run off of the RBI double from Lance Burt. Burt remains over on second, and this one's going to be sent over into right second. And the game is tied up from Redmond High. Two consecutive RBI doubles here for Dudes National, and we're all nutted up at so Malachi over on second now. 2 runs for either of these teams. Here is Bomer up in the batter's box now. First pitch, lets this one sail past. Ball 1, no outs still here for the Dudes. 3 consecutive hits so far from Facilla, Burt, and Malachi. Jeremy Perwalt is on the mound here for FCA. Premier now relieving Drew Marino. There's strike 1 here on Calvin. Calvin so far a ground out as well as a fly out in the foul territory on his most recent at bat. The ground out in the first inning. Over at second on the fielder's choice. 1-1. Diaz is on deck behind Bomer. No outs, and that one sails low, ball 2. Now the pressure is on for FCA Premier as the Dudes have a whole heck ton of momentum on their side. No outs. Malachi's over on second. He hasn't gotten his courtesy runner yet. He typically has Weber come into courtesy run for him. On the mound, winds this one up. 2-1 swing and a miss for strike 2, and the count's even at 2-2 here for Bomer. Bomer in yesterday's game, 3 plate appearances, 2 hits, including an RBI as well as a fly out. So a good day yesterday. Two and 2 for Bomer, and the count's full now as that one exits the zone. 3-2. Mason Diaz on deck. Malachi over on second. You see him right there in the foreground. Three and 2, swinging at that one and fouling it off to the right side. So another shot at 3-2 will Kevin. Three and 2 here for Bomer. The Dudes trying to get it ahead here as they knot it back up, and Malachi is going to have to retreat back over to second after Jeremy disengages from the mound. Three and 2, Diaz on deck. Base runner in scoring position, and this one is sent into center. Getting to first here is Bomer, and advancing to third is Malachi. Still no outs, and now runners on the corners. So here's Mason Diaz now up in the batter's box. A dropped third strike on his last at-bat. He was forced out at first. A strikeout before that on his last at-bat. And count to 1-0. Now both 15s are on second and third, and that's Malachi and Bomer, of course. Both of them wear the number 15 for the Dudes. Malachi with 2 hits so far this game. One ball, no strikes. In the bottom of the 6th for the Dudes. That one sails over the head of Mason. Ball 2, and the count's at 2-0 here from Jeremy, still on the pitching mound here for FCA Premier. Here on Diaz. Hey. Three and one for the first baseman. Dion Lopez is on deck. None down for the Dudes, and they try to keep momentum alive here. Diaz swings at this one, grounder towards second base. The force out is made at first, but a run will be scored here as Malachi slides in home. On third now. Diaz puts the first out on the board here for the Dudes after the grounder. It's a runner on third now for the Dudes. None. At bat, the same one that Diaz just hit, with the exception of there being no runs scored. That pitch sails into the zone. Strike one, and the count's out 1 and here for Dion. Dion also struck out in the second inning, part of that 3 strikeout stretch there. Diaz, Lopez, and Byers all struck out there for a 1-2-3 second. Lopez is going to swing at this one, and it's going to get and I think they're going to say there was catcher's interference here. So Dion is now over on first. Runners at the corners again here for the Dudes as they try to keep momentum going again. 2 on as they're up by 1 here from Redmond High School in the 6th inning. Burt and Malachi both with RBIs. Runners at the corners, 1 out. This pitch gets away from Wenzel. He's going to be able to pick it back up now. Ball 1 here on Mags Byers up in the batter's box now. Byers a strikeout as well as a fly out to right. And that pitch is going to get loose here from Wenzel. Trying to slide in to score is going to be Bomer, but he's not going to get there in time. And so the Dudes are arguing obstruction on the pitcher, but as Bomer tries to come in home and is tagged out at the plate. Wenzel was able to recover the ball in time. Dion Lopez now over on second. He'll advance over there. So Mags Byers back up to the plate. There's strike 1. Actually, it's not Mags Byers up in the batter's box, it seems. Byers, so apologies there. Byers did strike out and fly out. So here is Lawson's first at bat of this one. 1-1 is the count. A runner on second, 2 outs as this one is fouled off past third base over to the left side. Strike 2. Chase Lawson started on the mound for the Dudes here. By 1, however, and so there's still an inning left here. Again, no time limits. 5 minutes away from what would have been the 2-hour time limit, as that one was done away with per the request of Colin McBride. That pitch swung at, and it's going to loft itself foul over the fence to the left side. A powerful one there from Lawson. And the count remains at 1-2. One and two pitch upcoming here for Chase Lawson. Runner on second. That's Dion Lopez. Lincoln Cohen is on deck for the Dudes. 1-2. He's going to look at this one. Ball 2. And counts evened out at 2 and today's game. 3 plate appearances, a hit, a ground out, and one time he was hit by the pitch. He did score a run in yesterday's 5-run game. 3-2, and he's going to swing at that one. I guess the third strike was dropped there by Wenzel. He's going to tag Lawson just to make sure. Lawson strikes out, leaving Cohen behind. So we'll be back for the top of the 7th and a now. We'll be right back. We're back here from Redmond High School, top of the 7th now, and the Dudes have a chance to seal this one up here. And so there has been another pitching change here for the Dudes as this one swung at and sent into center field. The grab is made there by Facilla. Name of the Cardinal Classic, as that one flies out to center field with Eckelberger swinging on the first pitch there for FCA Premier. So now it's Bove, 10th in the order for them. Lets this pitch go by, strike one. Going into the bottom of the sixth, the FCA Premier team had definitely a good lead, 2-0, as this one swung at, and it's now the Dudes 1 out away here from closing this one out. Back at the top of the order now is Miller, who has struck out as well as flown out twice here in the top of the seventh. Pitch goes into the zone, strike one here for Miller. And Kevin Bomer now, the fourth pitcher this game here for the Dudes, sends that one into the zone. No runners on, 2 down. Bomer winds this one up, sends this one outside. First ball here on Miller. His fourth plate appearance. Veers is on deck if we get there. The Dudes trying to close this one out. They lead 3-2. Bomer sends that one high. Ball 2, and the count's at 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down. Bomer winds up. This one swung at, sent towards the left side, into play, takes a bounce in left field, and the FCA Premier team is alive as Miller gets over to first and stays there. So the Dudes not able to quite do it just yet, but they could here. Veers will step up into the batter's box for FCA Premier. Veers a run scored as well as 2 hits and a base on balls in his 3 plate appearances so far. There's strike one entering the zone. No balls, 1 strike. That pitch exits. Ball 1. Count even at 1-1. After Veers is Larson if we get there. And this is the part of the lineup where the Dudes want to be very weary. Pitch goes low. Ball 2. Veers, Larson. The 2 hitters to have scored runs this game for FCA Premier. Those 2. Up next as this one is swung at and sent into left field. Is the grab made? It is. It's into the glove of Byers, and that'll do it. Here from Redmond High School, the Dudes come out victorious in Game 2 of the Cardinal Classic against FCA Premier, as that one is launched into left field for the final out to be secured, as the teams will meet here at home. That the Dudes had. Facilla, Burt, and Noet have all scored runs. Burt and Noet both with RBIs batting in those runs. Scoring the 3 you see there, the 2 runs for FCA Premier scored off of Veers and Larson. RBIs from Jake Doman and Ledoux. And in a very close one here for Redmond High School, 7 innings, or 6.5. We get through, and the Dudes have won it. Come back from a 2-run deficit and win the game. Now 1-1 in the Cardinal Classic. And let me run through that schedule again for you here, that the Dudes have some upcoming games. We've got FCA 18U today. They come out victorious, now 1-1 in the Cardinal Classic. The Shoreline Royals tomorrow as their 3rd game as part of the Cardinal Classic. That one's at 8 p.m. just across the street at Hartman Park. So go to that one or tune in here if you can. Well, Washington Rush, as well as the Everett Merchants, is who they will be playing in June on the 3rd and the 4th in Everett, Washington. The Medford Rogues will be visited by the seniors of the national team as well as the PIL team. So tune in for those ones. Thanks for joining us here from Game Changer at Redmond High School. I'm Sebastian Alsing. Have a great evening.